Jaime Castro with Jaime Castro Digital Images, and I just want to demonstrate what I've been doing on these ink abstract photography sessions. As you can see, I'm just kind of wrapping up, so I want to do one video just to kind of show what I've been doing here. So this is a setup for a shoot that I'm going to do right here. What it is, it's a Halloween mask. It's like a steampunk type of Halloween mask. I have just a little table light, and I have a flash just kind of setting up to bounce off the top of the photo tent here. In the back, I got like some of those backgrounds from you know, where you do like scrapbooking. So I was able to pick those up at a hobby shop. So I kind of like the wood background, kind of gives it. The towel, I actually found out during experimentation, kind of gives me a little, like a grid pattern towards the bottom, which I thought was kind of cool, and kind of incorporated another element into it that I really enjoyed. So I started using that, and of course I use it because I am working with water here. So this Halloween masks I just got like during Halloween. I've had it in my closet, and this is a fish tank I picked up. I think it's either a 5 or 10 gallon. I don't remember what it was, but it's just one of the round ones. You pick those up pretty cheap. And the way I have it mounted, I'm using my Yeti tumbler, as you can see, to kind of anchor the mask with a clip on there. And I do have like this little cardstock background just to kind of give me a little extra bounce on here. So right now, my settings, I'll reveal that later as a graphic, because I am constantly adjusting this thing. So what I'm doing here is, I'm going to scroll over here, is I'm using these types of inks, which is like from the Liquitex inks. These have worked very well. They sustain in the water, as you'll see, pretty well. I even have the metallic ones, which kind of give me a little bit of a wispy aspect. I've also incorporated some in some of the other shots you'll see. I did incorporate some Alka-Seltzer, kind of give me a bubbly. I do have a prism orb that I played with. I have like this thing that I picked up again for like Valentine's. And then I picked up some other props like silk flowers and stuff like that. I've even used a First Order Trooper as sort of like just an element. And what's good about these inks is they'll bounce off a lot of these objects, and they'll kind of do like a little wraparound. So you can actually, and they really do slow down in the water. The colder it is, the more it's going to sustain. So these are the inks I highly recommend using if you want to try this little experimentation. So back to the setup here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of shots and with the ink. All right. So these are the two inks I'm going to start using. This is a kind of a phthalo green, or I think, yeah, like a phthalo cyanide green, and a red. The reason I like these because, you know, it kind of mixes with the theme, you know, toxic and stuff like that. And I know it looks blue on the camera, but I guarantee it is sort of a greenish color on there. And then I'm going to use a red, which red's been my favorite. It really comes out very well in this stuff. So before I take any pictures of this, because I'll probably set this up and just take my own pictures, but this is for demonstration. All right, I'm going to start with the green here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this, I don't want to go too aggressive on it because then you'll muddy the water up pretty well. So keep in mind these inks do expand, but you want to kind of play around with it and see how it forms. So I'm dripping one couple right there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to grab my camera as well too to take some shots while I'm doing this. Now keep in mind you want to kind of use a small aperture, or I'm sorry, a 9 aperture in order to really get everything in focus. And again, I'm constantly adjusting my settings because, as I said, the water is going to be clouding up rather quickly. So you want to make sure that you're playing around. And there's a lot of stuff that you can kind of play around with. So you can kind of see as it's quickly dissolving and really expanding around. And notice how it's the water's pretty cold, just tap water cold, but I mean, as you can tell, it's really slowed down already, and you can get some real interesting patterns using this. So it takes a couple more shots. So right now, my settings is I'm at a 7.1, 1/100th, and I'm at an ISO 800, and my flash is set at 164. Again, that's just what I have for right now, but I'm constantly going to be adjusting this as I go because I like moving the lights around. All right, now for something a little more interesting, I'm going to unstopper the red here, so hold on for a second here. Oh, that's a cool little abstract right there. So here's the red. And with the red, what I want to try to do is I want to try to create little globs and try to make sure I'm hitting a surface, because that way it starts wrapping around. So, and again, you know, I'm just doing this randomly. See if I can get this in focus. Here we go. So again, I just dropped a little bit and see how it's starting to expand. And really mixing with that green, as you can tell. So you're going to start getting some real interesting patterns. And as you can tell, red and green kind of make a brownish, but in this case, you know, it's creating some good contrasting colors. So let me take a couple shots. So really, you're starting to get something real kind of gnarly around here. And I'm pretty close up when I'm doing a lot of these photos. So I'm not taking. So I'll sometimes will take an overall, but usually, since I'm going for abstract, I'm trying to go a little more and capture the details. So the reason I like this mask is because it has a lot of. It was done pretty well and it's pretty detailed. But as you can see, the water's kind of mudding up, and I'm not mixing it around too much, at least not yet. But I will eventually. So that's looking kind of cool. So I'm going to get one of the little metallic ones, and you can kind of see what those do. So here I'm going to incorporate a little bit of the silver. Sorry. So the silver is going to is not as pronounced as a lot of these other inks, and you can really see a gnarly pattern there. So this one's going to create a little bit of a wisp, and it really creates some fine detail in your final photos that you can actually play around with. Oh, I missed one there, so let me get another drop. So as you can see, it's kind of start wisping a little bit. Creates like sort of like a little bubble. But I guarantee in the photos, you'll be able to see the detail that you'll see. This is the little added detail that you can start incorporating into your photos. And it really goes down kind of short. So what I'm going to do now, I'm getting a little bit of a bounce, a little too much. So I'm going to actually lift this a little bit and see what else I get. So now I'm going to start manipulating some of my lighting and moving it around just to see what kind of different angles I can get. And again, because this thing's starting to get muddied, I'm Fing down to 5.6. So I was at 7. So now I'm going down to 5.6. So again, this is where I'm starting to change some of my settings. The flash, I really don't change too much, but I'm just constantly changing around on my settings. So I might have to do another stop here in just a second. But I am getting I really like this part right here with the nose. You're really getting some awesome detail, especially with the towel. You'll find that, and again, you can use other patterns. So this is just like a little sample. This is what I chose to use in my shot. And as I said, once you see the final shots, you're gonna see how much fun this is. Again, I'm gonna have to adjust my settings here. And I'm being careful not to go down too much because then I start losing focus. I've actually, I did some test printing on some of these, and I will get some that don't really, that are a little bit blurry because of the depth of field that I'm playing with. But a lot of these are coming out very kind of cool. And again, I'm flipping the camera horizontally and vertically just to get different types of views. You actually might see my cell phone in some of these, so that's all right. And again, I'm playing around also with the composition. So I'm constantly looking for, changing my, I'm following the rule of thirds, but I'm constantly changing around my composition just to get some different types of shots. I'll even get some of the stuff up here in the ink. So that's a little demonstration of what you can possibly do with these inks. Now I'm going to incorporate some other stuff. So some of the stuff I'll sometimes use are these little pipettes here that I picked up on Amazon for like 100 of them for like $10 or something like that. So there's these little pipettes that I can actually wisp around some movement. But I don't want to move it too much because of the fact that I'm trying not to muddy the water up, at least not yet. So what that does, it kind of just moves stuff a little bit to kind of give you a different feel, just in case you want a different type of view here. And again, I'm getting some real kind of cool shots here that I'm enjoying. So I can't wait to post-production these. Now again, these, I personally, as far as post-production, I like to play with HD filtering. I like to do just a whole bunch of stuff to it. That's just my style, the way I do it. But sometimes I'll either use Lightroom or I'll use Photoshop, or the combination. I also play with Adobe After Effects just to see what kind of weird stuff I can come up with. But I'm really liking the nose area right here because you see the piping. And you see like it's just a big glob of just coolness right here. So again, I may want to shift my light here a little bit just to kind of see. And we're getting some very interesting patterns here. And again, you can use any type of prop. I've used flowers, I've used all sorts of things. I mean, you're limited by your imagination here. There's just so much stuff that you can do with this type, and I've really enjoyed this. I'm definitely going to continue doing a lot of these experimental photography here, because I mean, this is just completely random, and you'll get a whole bunch of stuff. And again, as you can see, it's really starting to cloud up here. So again, I don't want to f-stop too down, so I'm going to go down to 4. Because I don't want to lose too much of my depth of field here. All right, so I think that's good. Now, one thing, like sort of like a little grand finale that I like to do is use some Alka-Seltzer. And what this does is you're going to create a big bubble pattern. Now here, you want to have your camera set. So before I put this stuff in, I am going to get my camera settings ready, because this thing will create a little bit of, not an explosion, but it will go fast, in other words. So I'm gonna set and I'm using an A6000 here, a Sony A6000, because of the fact that I can shoot 11 frames a second here. So just want to make sure it's set up. It's set up. So I'm gonna change my speed here just a second. So put it here so you can have something to look at. And I'm actually gonna increase my ISO to about 1250 just so I can get, and I'm gonna take a couple of test shots here just to make sure that this will come out. And it looks like it's going to. So are we ready? Here we go. I'm gonna drop both of these in here and let's see what we can get. So it looks like I got caught on the nose here, but that's fine. And as you can see, this water got pretty muddy pretty quick. But you can, as I said, still gets a lot of cool. Oh, it's going to go down here. We're following it. And again, if you're kind of ambitious, throw some more red in there. Very cool. You can see how muddy it is right now. So I'm going to switch back. I'm going to take some final shots here. And just see, because I mean, I'm still getting some detail here. So what I might do is I might throw a little bit of silver in here, just to kind of get a little bit more of the wisp aspect. Oh, and by the way, using these inks, they're very easy to clean up. They're water soluble, so they clean up pretty quickly. And they're friendly, toxic. So actually they're non-toxic, so environmental friendly. And I'm really getting some really cool stuff, as you can see with the wisps here. And you can actually, if you in post-production, you can actually get the detail extracted out of these very well. And you can, as I said, now you can start playing with the white balance. You can start playing with a whole bunch of color in case you don't like you want to customize your white balance. These actually also turn out very well in black and white, I must say, because of all the texture and contrast that you're going to be seeing. But I guarantee you start doing this, and I got addicted pretty quickly using this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to take my flash and I'm actually going to put it behind the tent here, just to get a little bit more, because I want to do a little more of a contrasty type of thing. And I'm surprised that in this case, I'm still seeing the mask, so I'm going to continue shooting. And I'm actually, let's see if we can incorporate another color here. Now that we have fully green, I'm going to try a little bit of a yellow and see what's going to come out. And as I said, that's the good thing about these experimentations here, is the yellow. You can just play around, and the options are very limitless here. So now we got another glob, and hey, let's throw some more wisp in there. So now we get it more, now we're getting something here. See, now I'm going to f-stop down a little bit just to get a little more contrasty. And I'm actually now going to take this flash out of the picture. And I'm going to just adjust the table light a little bit more. And let's see what we can get here. And yeah, I'm getting more. That's the look I was kind of going for. And you're going to see, you're going to have a lot of kaleidoscope action, as you can kind of see, depending on the white balance that you're playing. So you're going to have a very cool mixture of color coming out. And yeah, that silver's really popping, really making sort of I'm going to say it wrong, the little pearlescent type of thing. And as I said, you can kind of see the reflection of the towel. That brings another element into it, because it almost brings like a whole vanishing point that's going behind the mask. So it draws the attention even further into that nose piece. And that's just really coming out. That's really going to pop out in the final photos here. So I'm going to do one more Alka-Seltzer here. And let's see what we can get. Just to see. I'm gonna try to get it past the nose here so we can kind of get the bubbles coming in, or I'm gonna throw it to the side or something like that. So, no, I missed it, but oh well. But that thing's really popping again. And look at that pattern. Look how the ink kind of just wraps around that Alka-Seltzer. And again, you can just, in post-production, you can just take that Alka-Seltzer completely out, but look how that thing just wraps around. Look at how that paint just wraps around that structure. And as I said, I've used the prisms, I mean, there's so many possibilities you can do here. As you can tell, I'm pretty excited just shooting this video. There's a lot of stuff you can do, and you'd be surprised what you can come up with here. Look at that, that's nice. I'm gonna do one more Alka-Seltzer here. Look at how that silver, the wisp of the silver kind of comes and wraps everything around. And that background I originally had before, just, you know, that's just nothing now because you can't see it, but, you know. And as I said, there's so much stuff you can experiment with, so I'm going to throw the other Alka-Seltzer here just for final good measure. So hold on a second. All right, final one here. Oh, we got that one. Here we go. That's what I was wanting. I don't know if you guys have seen the boiling water experimentation. This is sort of how you can kind of so I'm getting some really kind of cool photos here. And I can probably quickly look at that. And even the particles in there from the Alka-Seltzer, those are also pretty cool. Oh, here we go. Here. Sometimes you can, I haven't yet experimented with a macro lens on doing this, but I'm sure that's another avenue that I would love to try as well too. And I'll probably try that next time using a macro lens. But yeah, it looks like this water's pretty muddy right now. So again, you can kind of see a lot of possibilities that you can do with this little experiment, and I've enjoyed it quite a bit, and I'm definitely going to be doing a lot more of these. Again, these are the inks I recommend, but the other stuff that I've had some success with is actually heavy whipping cream that you can get at a grocery store, because that stuff actually sustains. You want to look for stuff that actually sustains. I've tried alcohol inks, I've tried just a bunch of other stuff. This stuff has worked the best because of the fact that it just lingers there and gives you time to shoot. Otherwise, you'd have to, you know, go real quick, and you won't have time to get the shot that you want, especially if you see a pattern that you really like. So these are the ones that have given me time to actually shoot. Now, it's always good to have an assistant to help you with this, but, you know, in my case, you know, I'm kind of doing this on a small scale, but again, you know, these inks are the ones I recommend. And again, you can you know, the Alka-Seltzer stuff I've tried before, that worked pretty well. Props, you can just use just whatever prop you can. I've done one with a Harry Potter, I've done one with some other stuff, so. But as you can kind of see, it's a little fun experiment, and I hope you guys have fun with it. Hopefully this was informative. You can check out my Instagram and my Facebook for all the images that I posted for this series. I'm going to do another series probably in the spring, and I'll see what I can do to step it up a notch as well too. So I hope you enjoyed this. This is, again, Jaime Castro with Jaime Castro Digital Images out of Houston, Texas. All right, thanks. Bye.